Okay,
Okay.
are you ready to read from James? What a book. We don't have to worry about variety because James is a variety within itself. So many different things are taught here. James chapter 2, and we're going to start with verse 14. Now, we have read through previous verses that taught us that we need to keep all of the commandments. Don't break even one of them, because that makes us a lawbreaker. When we break one, we go against the authority who wrote all of them. So keep them all, and in the process, learn to love each other, to do well by each other, and all of this is very important, particularly to show mercy. God wants us to be a merciful person, because blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. That's kind of like a soft answer turns away wrath. If you just don't push it and show mercy, it kind of takes the steam out of the situation. Hard to do sometimes. But then, when we show mercy, that means that we help others, do for others, and just do a lot of things in the Christian life. And that's why James starts here in verse 14. What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith, and have not works? Can that faith save him? So just don't talk it, practice it. For example, if a brother or a sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, Depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding you give them not those things which are needful to the body, what doth it profit? We're to have a heart, a merciful heart. Do unto others as you would like it done to you. And then verse 17, even so faith, all your religion, if it doth not have works, is dead, being alone. Quite a few verses. So we've been taught through this book of James so far not to be partial, not to show favoritism. How you doing? You know, every day something almost catches up with us to practice some kind of impartiality. But James has at least made us more aware. He's taught us to keep all the commandments. He's taught us to be merciful. He's taught us not to be partial. But now he introduces a subject that's close to kin to that, because a lot of these things are interwoven. He talks of a person who claims to have faith, claims to be religious here, yet he doesn't display it. That doesn't always have to be that somebody gets mad and cusses. There's other ways of displaying or not displaying or demonstrating. We demonstrate our faith by doing. I think you know that. Have you ever heard actions speak louder than words? Of course we have. Yeah. So simply spoken, what we do tells more about us than what we say. I think we've all heard a lot of people say a lot of words. And after a while you get kind of used to what they're like, and you know there's not going to be much follow through. That's why we learned earlier from Proverbs that in the multitude of words is sin. There's just some that talk too much of all that they're going to do. Yeah. But it all settles down to the fact, are we a people of our word? Do you feel like you're a person of your word? Don't you try to give that extra attention? That if you promise something, say something, that you make sure you carry that out? I feel like I have in everything except those things I've forgotten. I'm sure I've forgotten some things. How about you? Yeah, carry out your word. So let's give this some closer look this morning. And the first thing I want to talk to you about is there is no profit in words that are spoken if there's no works that follow. And we just read those verses. So there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of declaration, there's a lot of words. And if they're empty and there's no fruit, it sure makes you wonder, doesn't it? So actions carried out, they do demonstrate the faith that we have. How about James 4:17? This is quite a verse that's going to come up later. Therefore to him that knoweth to do good, and doeth it not, to him it is sin. So if we know to do, and we talk about it, and don't do it, hey, it has rung the bell in heaven. Be on our record. So it's easy to have a lot of fine spoken words out there, and if there's no follow-up, try to train your conscience to stand up and speak out and tell you, practice what you preach, do what you say, and that'll show the kind of faith that you have. And there's another verse in Matthew 7, verse 21. It says, not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth. Now, what do you think about somebody who promises you to fix your car, come over and help you, repair the tractor, and you wonder when they're going to get around to it? Well, I know there's things that delay, yeah, but you appreciate those who do. And don't you think God in heaven, who knows all these ins and outs, feels the same way about his children? Don't just pray to me, do my will. Now this has to do with the specifics like being baptized or taking communion or going to church, reading your Bible, those specific things, but it also carries with it the doing of helping those who are in need. Or just the plain kindnesses that we do for one another. Stop in to see someone, bake them a cake. Now I know different ones do that. Here comes another pie. Mama, she even bakes them. I'm not supposed to eat those sweets. Well, they're doing the kind things anyway. We are trained up to do those things. They tell about our faith. So we believe what's right, and we do what's right, and we help someone who's in legitimate need. It's kind of hard. There's so many out there that have needs, and you wonder if really, like some people, they choose to be homeless. They don't want to live any other way. But do help those who are legitimate. Otherwise, what's the profit? If you don't do, you don't help that person, you don't help yourself. And here's the thing I wonder about. You know, in the Sermon on the Mount, he encourages us to lay up treasures in heaven. Would you like to look into your storehouse of heavenly treasures? I haven't thought too much about that. How many diamonds do you think you've got in your storehouse? How many good deeds, good spoken words, kindnesses that you've done? Dick? Well, I used to do a whole lot more. And our pickup was the moving van of the congregation. Trouble of it was, they kind of expected me to be one of them movers too. I didn't mind it when I was young. Hey, now they have to move me. But anyway, be that whatever. Doers show their faith in obeying the truth and helping others. So that brings us to this next point. Faith without works is dead when it's alone. Being baptized and going to church, saying I'm a Christian, that's fine. But is there real change? Change that shows that I was really baptized. That lets the family know and the neighbors know that I'm a faithful church person. I think that's worth a lot. And don't we parents try to, most of the time anyway, let the little ones see that we're that kind of person. Yeah, I grew up as a little one, just like these little ones here. And I had a daddy, and I had a mommy, and I had uncles and aunts, and just like you. And I watched them all. I didn't watch them with purpose, I just observed. My uncles smoked pipes, and the tobacco smelled good. Dad did for a while, just an accepted thing. My dad wasn't really a cusser. He said a few of those slang things. I think that was helpful. So you don't get those words planted in their young minds way back when they're so young that they have to get out of their minds that somebody else put there. You know what I'm talking about. Our kiddies need to see as much as possible what's right and wrong. Or they get out in the world and there's a whole lot of hoop-de-doo that you wish wasn't there. And if we've been able to offset a lot of that, that's a wonderful thing. So Just know that faith without works is dead all by itself. Only faith empowered by works work. We need to know that. Doing things for others, living the Christian life. You remember the story of the Good Samaritan? The first two jokers that went by were highly religious. You know that story. That's why the word Samaritan is used all over the country. The two first religious ones went on by and shook their head and was too busy being religious. But then the Good Samaritan came along. He was less religious, but he had enough in his heart that said, hey, let's stop and help this guy who's been beaten up. Remember the story, don't you? Sure. It's probably stuck in our conscience, and it tempers our behavior. And those actions, he didn't say much, but he took the man up, took him in, told somebody else to take care of him, and I'll even pay for it. And that's remembered to this day. But you know, we don't fool God, and we don't even fool ourselves. And we certainly don't fool people around us because everybody sees. I want to read this to you. When a man says he can't keep awake through a 30-minute sermon, how you doing? And stays home Sunday with endless pages of the newspaper and reads them, who's he kidding? I don't get excited over the newspaper. Nancy goes through it for the coupons, I guess. Well, anyway, when a man says Sunday is his only day to rest, and he gets up at 4:30 a.m. and goes fishing, or spends the day on the golf course, who's he kidding? Whoop-oo. When a man says church seats are too hard and uncomfortable, we got him beat out on that, don't we? We visited a church that had pews like ours soft. I didn't think anything about it. Nancy says these are softer than ours. Well, my goodness. That's what happens when you get old. Well, anyway, church pews are uncomfortable. Then he goes Saturday and sits where? On a bleacher for hours in drizzly rain, watching 22 men push one another back and forth across a mud lot. Who's he kidding? Oh, let me tell you. When we were in Jamaica, we had to sit on pews that were made out of 2x4s. Even an extra pain pill didn't take care of that. But when I was young, I could sit on anything just like anybody else. Anyway, here's another one. When a man says he doesn't have time for Christ and his church, then spends evenings shopping, bowling, watching television, going to clubs, playing cards, having evenings out, who's he kidding? Who in the world wrote that up? I didn't. But you know it's good to read. Almost as good as the scriptures, isn't it? Every one of us has to decide our good pleasure before God. Is it going to be a lot of words, or is it going to be a lot of works? Or is there going to be a good balance? You know, like I said one other time, I don't think I'm going to say one word on the day of judgment. I bet I will be speechless and just stand there, sit there, Maybe he'll give me a nice church pew to sit in. I'm just going to sit there speechless. Say on, Lord, because I bet I can't out-argue you. I don't even want to, I don't think. But anyway, you know, there's no marriage that can last on words. You know what I told Nancy when we were dating? I said, honey, if I'm on that side of the car when you're getting in, I will open it and I'll shut it for you. But if I'm somewhere else, you're going to get to open the car door and shut it yourself. Did you tell your mate to be those kind of things? You know what? Life is pretty real. But I still open the door and close the door when I'm on that side. Why should I, back then, open and shut the door when as soon as I got in, she scooted over next to me? Just get in on my side. Oh, be quiet. Anyway, no marriage will last on only words. I don't believe there's any relationship that's going to last on just words. So no matter what you look at in life, it takes action as well as words. Doing. Otherwise it's dead. And believe me, these kind of things of opening the door and shutting the door, whatever it is, in those whatever times and actions, they are still fitting. Let me read you something. Several years ago, the one who wrote this said, I read of a terrible accident in which several young people were killed when their car was struck by a train. At the trial, the watchman was questioned. Were you at the crossing the night of the accident? Yes. Yes, Your Honor. Were you waving your lantern to warn of the danger? Yes, Your Honor, the man said. But after the trial ended, the watchman walked away muttering to himself, I'm sure glad he didn't ask me about the light in the lantern because the light had gone out. That's the whole sermon right there, isn't it? Well, God saw the light was out, but he wasn't going to reach down and turn it on. That was that man's job. So what do you think? I think it's something to think about.